Hello, friends. Welcome again to another episode of the POTLUCK Podcast. I'm Jared Cornutt, joined by my co-host, Matt Hensley, and Alan Murray. Alan, how are you over there in the fair state of North Carolina?
Doing well. Wide open. Been doing a lot of work the past couple weeks on the North Carolina Pastors Conference and pastoring my local church and enduring the wonderful heat of summer.
It has been a hot summer, I think, across the United States, but in particular, in Texas, it's been very hot. And I know on the east coast of North Carolina, when you mix in that humidity, it is... I imagine, Alan, walking out of your house around 3 o'clock is like when you open your oven when you preset it to 400 degrees and that heat just hits you. Is that a fair illustration?
No, there's not enough humidity in that. The best description I've ever heard of living in southeastern North Carolina is like what it would be like to take a shower, not dry off, and put your clothes on.
Oh, that's just disturbing in many ways. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing good. I spent way too much time with you today. I'm going to be honest.
5 hours.
Way too much time.
5 hours.
I think we'll talk about that in a little bit because that was another little taste of the Texas summer, which I could have done without. I'm an avid indoorsman, especially when it's hot. And we're doing well, doing really, really well. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. We did a little vacation last week. Enjoyed the Baptist Vegas, otherwise known as Branson, Missouri, and saw a couple shows. Did some amusement park stuff. Played a little golf. It was exactly like Gatlinburg, Tennessee, except for in Missouri. That's exactly. It was somebody's gonna get mad at me for saying this. It was a little classier than Gatlinburg, if I had to be honest.
Them fighting words for some.
It is, but it's a little classier. There's a different type of person that goes to Branson than Gatlinburg. It's what I'll say, and I'll leave it at that. I enjoy both Gatlinburg and Branson. I'll probably never go back to Branson again in my life. I've gone, I've done it, I've seen it. Did the Sight and Sound Theater. It was incredible. Saw the Jesus production. It was very good. World-class golf. Ate at Paula Dean's. I mean, who could say no to that? But good to be back in Texas. Good to be back. I have not been in the office like in 2 weeks. So I spoke at a camp the week before down in Trinity, Texas. And so looking forward to getting back in the rhythm of just everyday pastoring and those types of things. So let's jump into some of these topics. The first thing that we want to make note of, been a bit of a buzz in Southern Baptist world, has been the departure of Dr. David Allen from Southwestern Seminary. He served on the board of trustees. He was the chairman of the board. He served as the dean of the School of Theology, dean of the School of Preaching, and he is no longer with the seminary. I know there's a lot of different opinions about that, and a lot of different ideas, and so we won't belabor the point because I don't think we can change anybody's minds with our thoughts and opinions on this podcast, whatever those may be. But he announced today that he will be going to Mid-American Seminary in Memphis, Tennessee. Mid-American is not a Southern Baptist seminary, but he will be a distinguished visiting professor, and I believe the chair of, I think they have an Adrian Rogers School of Preaching there, if I understand that correctly. Of course, Mid-American is across the street from Bellevue Baptist, where Adrian Rogers pastored for many, many years. And so Dr. Allen will be there, and that's where you can find him teaching and leading in those types of ways. And today not at Southwestern, but in Fort Worth, Texas, Dr. Hensley and I had the pleasure or the pain, however you want to say it, of participating in the Southwestern Classic, which is a charity golf tournament which supports, I believe, scholarships for the school.
It does. It does.
Tell us a little bit about it, Matt. You probably know more about it than I do. I just want to go play golf. You actually probably know why we played golf today.
Yeah, one, it's to bring donors, pastors, students, faculty, staff, everybody to all come together, have a good time to support SWBTS, celebrate what God is doing at SWBTS, and just enjoy golf. I think I'm going to say that with a question mark. I think some people do enjoy golf.
I know who did not enjoy golf today.
Yeah,
there's a photographer from Southwestern that you hit with a golf ball.
Oh, so let's talk about that. We're having what amounted to a photo op because we, with the team that was ahead of us, was kind of slow, and so we had some time. The photographer showed up, and they're like, "Hey, we want to do a few photos of y'all, talking and blah 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 blah." And so like I had to go up there and like do like some practice swings, and they tried to get a shot of the golf ball and the club and all these kinds of things. Well, eventually those guys played on, and it was time for us to take our turns. And so I lined up to drive since I already had ball out there and everything. And I go and I grip it and I rip it right into Chin's rib cage. And so there was a photographer, would you say about 20 feet, 30 feet away?
He was relatively close.
He was pretty close.
Wasn't he? No, he was off to the side. He was standing in a place where a golf ball should have never gone from a drive.
Unless
theoretically, he was in a safe area.
Yeah, no.
Except the fact that you were hitting it.
Golfing. And because I have no idea where they're going to go. And but this one went right into his rib cage. And but he got some incredible shots all the way through the whole thing. Like, so there's a progression of the ball getting closer and closer to him. And in my face, like sheer horror when it happened. And I feel so terrible. And so Chin, if you're listening to this, I'm so sorry. I owe you one. Like, Whataburger on me. Like, just reach out. Like, I want to make it up for you for leaving you with a golf ball tattoo on your rib cage. And
that has already been memed. That picture, the picture
many times.
Many times. I mean, that's how fast news travels in today's America. But not only that, Matt Hensley also.
Yes.
I cannot even comprehend this.
Yeah.
He shanks that shot.
Yes.
Which makes your shots look like that. Let's be fair. You don't play a lot of golf.
No, I hadn't played in like a decade.
Then he walks up. He does not line up. He does not get himself in position. He doesn't look at the hole.
Walking. I don't even stop walking.
He walks up and hits a golf ball that is 58 feet away from the hole on what is the longest putt hole and drains it. 58 feet.
If there was ever like would this be a metaphor or whatever of my golf game, it would be those two holes. And where on one hand, I'm just going to drill the guy just like I drilled plenty of $1 million homes. And then I'll get up and I'll get one and have no idea where it's going to go. And it's perfectly placed in the fairway, or in this case, a nearly 60 foot putt. And so I was pretty pleased by that. And I won a $500-something golf club.
You did.
Can we say what we did with that golf club?
Is it in your possession currently?
It's not in my possession any longer.
It's in my possession.
It is.
Because I play a little golf. I enjoy playing. This is the fourth or fifth time I played this summer. And so we won't go into the details of the arrangement.
You sold your pulpit to me.
I didn't sell my pulpit. I just I said I'll have you come preach one Sunday, and we'll of course cut you a check for coming to preach. I mean, you're driving all the way down here, and
Brazilian steakhouse.
That you implied that you might could convince Israel of that. I don't know, but there was an agreement for Matt to come preach for. Will this be a third or fourth time?
I think that's the fourth, because I did a Christmas, a Thanksgiving, a pastors conference fundraiser. And this,
so a fourth time at
the charm.
So Alan, after hearing us just talk about our golf game, any thoughts on that at all, or are you just ready to move on?
Do you golf, Jay Allen? You golf?
So I have played, I'll say 1.5 times. Once I played on the same course that Southeastern does their golf fundraiser on in Wake Forest, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then once I played a par 3 in Wilmington, and a summer storm came up and lightning hit the course, and so that cut the game short. Something about swinging golf clubs in the air with lightning striking the course just didn't seem like a good idea.
But I have a question, though. Do you take like 2 golf clubs and tape them together? Because you're like 9 feet tall. Like, how does that work?
You know, that really is funny, because both times I've played, I never felt like any of the clubs were long enough that I never could have good form.
Yeah.
But you know, the first lady has informed me that I don't need to play golf because I have enough expensive hobbies in fishing and hunting. And so golf is just not something that I've done. And so both times I've borrowed clubs, but I enjoyed it. I'd play again. Not exactly golf, but I'd love to play disc golf sometime. I might die between now and then because the first lady's in the room right now, and she doesn't like me calling her the first lady, especially in front of all 7 of you that listen to our podcast.
I will also add that while I had the shot that went into the guy's rib cage and the great putt, there is no swing that compares to Sam Bonnell other than
Charles
Charles
Barkley.
Barkley.
Love Sam.
Sam. We had a blast.
I think he listens to the pod. I'm only playing because Sam invited me to play. So thank you, Sam, for having it. I won a Southwestern hat and golf sleeve today. It was some Titleist Pro Vs. But his golf swing, which he turned it on at the end. He had some great shots at the end. But him and Charles Barkley should play around together. That would be their banter would be hilarious, but just to watch them play would be great too. Alan, anytime you want to play disc golf, let me know. I've got 25 discs in my bag right now. I play a little bit better at disc golf than I do regular golf. Well, hey, let's keep moving on here. Maybe to something a little bit more. Well, I mean, that wasn't unserious. The tournament is great. What is not serious is Matt and my golf game. Tonight, the president of the Southern Baptist Convention, Dr. Bart Barber, announced that Marshall Blaylock, the pastor of First Baptist Church of Charleston, South Carolina, will be the chair of the ARITF, the Abuse Response Implementation Task Force, and it will be vice chaired by Mike Keybone, the pastor of First Baptist Church in Lawton, Oklahoma. Dr. Barber said both of these pastors are well respected by Southern Baptists, by survivors of sexual abuse, by the state convention leadership, and by their peers. I'm delighted at their willingness to serve and optimistic about the solutions that they will lead the implementation task force to propose. Blaylock served on the sex abuse task force, who, of course, gave the report at the annual meeting that was widely accepted. Mike Keybone is on the executive committee. He's been kind of a leader of sorts on there, and that's been neat to see him there. So we're starting to see the ball moving here. I think Bart is going to announce later the rest of that task force and who will be on there. But think of these nominations: 2 godly men, 2 respected men, 2 men for a time such as this, perhaps. Thoughts?
Yeah. Super pleased. Obviously, I love Blaylock. I think that also helps to have some carryover from the task force and whatnot. And so I was praying he was going to accept, and obviously Mike Keybone. I love that dude. Got to meet him and visit with him quite a bit in Anaheim. Love him. Love his heart for Southern Baptist. Love his heart for his church and his family and so forth. But I think, as you said, is a great man for such a time as this, and I believe the rest of this task force or implementation team is going to be phenomenal, and so we want to continue to pray for that, pray for those that are weighing those decisions and so forth, and as those announcements comes out, that we will really mark that time with prayer. That we want to, it feels weird to say we want to celebrate who these people are and so forth, but we do want to celebrate that they're agreeing to do this, that kind of deal. But I think we also need to pray for them and commit to supporting those efforts through prayer. And so those are my thoughts there. Keybone, love them. Blaylock, love them. And I think the rest of this team that we're going to hear later this week is phenomenal as well, including those that are kind of on the outside as consultants with them too, that will help, is going to be phenomenal. And so I'm grateful for that. And a sidebar is part of this announcement was made at the Indian Falls Creek 75th anniversary, and that was the very first time in IFC history that the Southern Baptist Convention president was there and met with Native American leaders and pastors, and Bart shared Resolution 4 with them and shared some of this stuff. So really neat opportunity for Bart and for our Native American brothers and sisters and pastors and leaders there, and so I was excited to hear that.
Alan, any thoughts on this task force and any hopes for how these gentlemen will lead us?
I think you guys have hammered it out. I think it's good to have some continuity from what's already been established to what's moving forward. This is going to be something that's going to have to continue to be dealt with, something we need to continue to pray about and pay attention to. I think we'd be wise to pay attention to how we're continuing moving forward, taking the recommendations and reacting and being proactive as a convention.
Well, a lot happening in the SBC, a lot of thoughts, a lot of wheels moving on different things. But of course, we always take a little time here on the POTLUCK podcast, talk about life in the South. And Alan Murray is going to talk to us about walking pudding tonight.
Yeah, this is something that I saw before I saw it from Matt Hensley. So somebody else had the idea before he did. I guess you were at some kind of church or association or Baptist function where you tried one. But you guys being there in Texas and in the Southwest, it took a while to get here, but there's this thing called a walking taco, which is typically a bag of Fritos or a bag of Doritos with some chili or some taco meat, cheese, sour cream. You can eat it with a fork. While walking, presumably, don't try to do them going down the road. It's just not a good idea. But somebody had the bright idea of taking bags of mini Nilla wafers and I guess putting pudding and bananas and whipped cream inside of that bag. I've not experienced it, but I am of the correct theological persuasion that banana pudding should be custard and warm. And so this just seems like a deviation, where heresy spreads and gets a little worse, kind of like how cults split into other cults. So I got to hear from Matt. What do you think? What's your bad food take on this?
First of all, this is a bad food take for me because I don't particularly like banana pudding. Now, that said, I'll eat it. And I've had some good ones. I'm just not a big banana guy. And I don't like kind of the, when the Nilla wafers or whatever, whatever they're called, when those get kind of soggy, not a big fan. But I will say that at least to your point about the custard deal, man, if you're camping or, like when we took the girls to Great Wolf Lodge and whatever, we took with us some mini Oreo cookies and gummy bears and some chocolate pudding. And we made the dirt, where you crumble up the Oreos and put it on top of the pudding and then the little gummy bears. So kind of the same idea, though, is if you're camping or something like that, and you're not going to have all of the big old spread and all beautiful, banana pudding or whatever. You throw all of that stuff with your Jell-O vanilla pudding or whatever it's supposed to be, and you can get it and go. And it's good. Like, it was okay. I wasn't opposed to it. But our girls loved it. So, but, then again, they're my daughters. So, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So
I've seen people do this with like tacos. They'll get like a bag of Doritos, nacho cheese Doritos. They'll throw some taco meat in there, some cheese in there, some sour cream in there, maybe a little pico de gallo in there, maybe some jalapenos in there. Mix it all together and eat it like that. That to me is a great idea. This to me is a horrible idea. And so I'm going to pass. Matt, you can have my helpings. And I'm going to avoid this like the plague. And that's just my opinion on the matter.
Works for me. More for me, I guess.
Well, unfortunately.
Well, Jared, it was good to see you today.
It was what?
It was good to see you today. It was
great to be with you. We shared a golf cart. Luckily, I was behind the wheel of that. And I helped Matt find some golf balls. We didn't find a lot of mine. The ones that I lost were gone for good. But we had a blast. It's always fun when you drink 9 bottles of water on the golf course and it's so hot you don't have to go to the bathroom the entire time. Yeah. That's how hot it was today. TMI maybe. It's just the facts, folks. Thanks for joining us here at the POTLUCK Podcast. We hope that you go play some golf. Pray for the implementation task force and for Bart and all the decisions he's got to make. Please don't eat your banana pudding out of a bag. And join us next time. Same Baptist hour. Stay Baptist, my friends.